One. If you figure that there were periods when you'd have an unmarried woman missionary and a male who was probably married and his wife who didn't count. If you count everybody, that's roughly 2 to 1, women over men. And there have always been more Catholic sisters in mission than there have been Catholic priests, just to give another concrete example. It's interesting how today, many of our calculations about world Christianity are made on a demographic basis.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that amazes everybody is that Christianity is now multicultural. You've now got, what, 20% Europeans. You're going to have, in the 21st century, 20% Europeans, 20% Africans, 20% Latin Americans, 20% Asians, so on. It's quite diverse. And all I tried to do was apply that demographic thought to gender. If you really take seriously the fact that most churches have mostly got women in them, you can say that Christianity is a women's religion. And why aren't we looking at it that way? If so many historians and demographers and theologians are eager to look at the world church as ethnic demographic, why is gender irrelevant to that? The question is not then, why are there so few men in the church? Maybe the question should be, why are there so many women in the church?
Well, when it comes to mission, it's really quite extraordinary. I mean, you mentioned that with women being historically denied the opportunity to be priests, that what was left was service. And this kind of diaconal role that then becomes such a critical part of mission, and fascinating to me that it's becoming even more a critical part of mission today, as there's maybe a little more nervousness about the imperialistic tendencies of the past.
One thing I found in doing my research, I wrote a book on the history of American women in mission and tried to look across 150, 200 years of that. I found that no matter what group I was looking at, whether it was Catholic or Pentecostal or mainline Protestant, women excelled and worked in what you might call ministries of compassion. Because men have been the gatekeepers of the church, i.e. the ordained, you find they were responsible for the structures of the church. Women often took on then the relational work of the church, visiting the sick, visiting the poor, relating to each other, providing support, visiting. So you see, I think, trends that women were either concerned with person-to-person relationships, thus very good at personal evangelism, and also concerned for kingdom of God issues, namely issues of, poverty, violence, and so forth. This has been partly because of the fact that ordination is typically still, in most churches, restricted to men. So women's mission work has been a way in which women have found self-expression from the beginning of Christianity. If you look at Peter, only raised one person from the dead, as far as we know. And this was Tabitha, who was the head of what appeared to be a group of widows. And when he goes to Joppa, he sees weeping women who come out and show him all the things that Tabitha had helped them make. Well, think of that as income-generating projects.
Well, widows especially.
For widows.
Who may not have had another option
Right.
at that point.
So here's this woman who's called a disciple in the Bible, in the New Testament. She's a disciple. Peter raises her from the dead because she's the leader of the widows. And the widows are poor and providing self-support. So this model of women working together for self-improvement and care of each other and of the poor goes all the way back to the New Testament. And it's been a strong theme throughout the history of Christianity and is a central part of what mission is, even if it hasn't been defined as part of the formal theology of mission.